What's going on, guys? Happy Friday. I'm Crypto Neil. In the last Bitcoin video update, we spoke about how we are expecting a small correction to take place, possibly even retesting the low and forming that ever so favorable bullish divergence, setting ourselves up for an excellent dip buy. So today, we did get that dip in price action, but quickly I'm going to play a clip from the last video just to kind of frame what I'll be speaking about in today's. So without further ado, I will play that clip for you. Lower time frames kind of correcting in this choppy grind to the upside. Typically when you get a series of slightly higher highs and higher lows, typically this can be followed by an aggressive follow through to the downside where you sweep all of these resting lows, all of this liquidity in one large move before going further to the upside to take these highs and ultimately retest this. And there you have it. I'm just going to bring myself back into view. So we're checking out Bitcoin obviously on the daily time frame here, but we're going to drop it down to the 4-hour. And as you can see, we spoke about the slightly higher highs and slightly higher lows, often getting a retracement. I think at the time we drew a double McDonald arch, something like that. And we did get that retracement today. Usually the last Friday of the month, there is a correction that takes place. That coincided with our theory that we were going to sweep out all of these resting lows for liquidity and move lower. We did get an aggressive move down on the RSI. So I do expect things being a bit oversold. I do expect a slight bounce on the weekend price action to kind of disregard, and then we will probably open up back where we closed today on Monday. So what would that look like? Essentially some sort of bounce to the breakdown level before actually heading lower and sweeping all of these lows, then forming our divergence on higher time frames such as the daily, with our lows coming in 1, 2, and potentially 3 once we come down further to the downside. So looking forward to that coming up throughout next week and the next month. Actually, in the next video we will go over the monthly close as well. However, so far things are going as planned with Bitcoin. So essentially any bounce on a smaller time frame such as a 4-hour, I would be looking to enter, essentially layer into this short until we sweep all of these lows. So that's the move going forward that I'm watching out for. So far everything has come to fruition that we spoke about in the previous video. So I hope you are staying safe in the market and realizing these patterns as they come up and you are able to act on them. And hopefully I give you kind of a framework as to when nominal entries are for such positions. So make sure you're not shorting major dips or longing major pumps. It's just a recipe for disaster, and you're going to get wrecked trading. So you often are looking for such dips to maybe scalp a buy and such pumps to average in a position to the downside. So you are in a downtrend on larger time frame on the daily. So keep that in mind. Pumps are essentially for shorting at this point. As you can tell, this is a cleaned up chart. Sometimes I like to lay a fresh chart over just to get fresh eyes on the situation. Before I had a range drawn at the highest candle closure around 106K. And I also had a line drawn around, I believe, 90K as a zone that was our consolidation slash resistance or support zone that we've now flipped into a resistance zone as we broke, retested a second time, and are heading back down. So with that being said, this acting as resistance, I do look as this overall a move that could come lower or at least retest the original breakout point here. And one chart I do want to point out on this channel that was spoken about a lot in previous years, such as 2021, that has not been talked about too often. I do want to bring up the Wyckoff accumulation and distribution chart. So specifically, here we have one depicting Bitcoin see if I can bring this up. So essentially you have an accumulation phase followed by a markup, followed by a distribution phase and a markdown phase. And if you look at this chart here, you can kind of see where we had our distribution phase followed by this sharp markdown. So keeping that image in mind, we can then look at current price action where we had accumulation take place for several months in this range. And we had a nice markup and then followed by this range that formed accumulation or distribution, sorry. So now that we have had distribution take place and we are essentially free falling down, I would look as this move down to be our markdown, in which I would be looking to then come back down to this initial breakout zone, and that is where you would most likely find your absolute bottom or your support. One thing to keep in mind, we are still in a bull market. To me, we have not confirmed anything other than a small bearish trend in a overall bull market. So this level here where we initially broke out from, back tested as support, this level around like 66k to 60, let's call it 69, let's call it 69 because that's a good number. That region there would, to me, mark the absolute bottom in this sell. Do I think we go that low? If I have to give my personal opinion, which I know a lot of people ever so desire, not financial advice, I don't think we go that low. I think the most likely scenario for Bitcoin, and this is not financial advice, this is just my personal opinion, I think the most likely scenario is the one I outlined in previous videos where we come down, we take out these previous lows, we set a higher high on RSI. So then we have essentially 1, 2, 3 higher highs on RSI, and then that'll be 1, 2, and then we come down here on price, 3 lower lows on price. So higher highs on RSI, lower lows on price, 3 drives of bullish divergence. That would, to me, be a automatic long position. Obviously, we can come lower. Like I said, worst case scenario, we come between 69, 66. Do I think that happens? No, I think we just kind of take out these resting lows as liquidity and then push up ultimately quite aggressively to form the next phase of the market, the next phase of the uptrend. So that's what I'm currently watching out for on larger time frame. Obviously, on smaller time frame, I don't think we are going to go straight down because of weekend price action. Typically, there's less volume, so we do get some fake outs and some nonsensical moves, some more difficult to trade moves, in my opinion. So keep that in mind on the weekend. If we do get any pump up, it could just offer you a nominal entry for the greater short going into Monday, going into the monthly open of April. So planning out these scenarios, as I just delete everything on the chart because I'm OCD and I can't stand having all this crap. Planning out these scenarios is going to keep you the safest in the market. Bring myself back up. Knowing the potential drawdown and knowing where your nominal entries are to go long or short, that is what's going to give you the best entries. That is what's going to give you the greatest risk to reward and keep you safest in the market and avoid that nasty capital loss that we all dread and panic sell. No, don't panic sell. Just kidding. So if you find any of this content valuable, I do appreciate a like. Drop a comment if you want to see any specific alts covered in future videos. I do appreciate all of the new subscribers to the channel. It really has just been a blessing to continue to grow and provide you guys with content and how I became the trader I am today. So happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.